But first up, as we promised, it is the end of October, which means we've been talking a lot about Diwali, but it also means the festive season in general is in full swing. Every day on the show, we've been bringing you a lowdown on one aspect of Diwali. So whether it is taking care of your house, sustainable gifting, today on the show, we're going to be talking a little bit about a very, very important factor, how you can dress. This morning, we thought we'd help you tackle something we just don't talk about enough, the difficulty of arranging your entire wardrobe for every single event that you have coming up in the next few days. If you're a man who doesn't want to wear a plain kurta once again, that same kurta that you're recycling again and again, or a woman who wants to add a fresh twist to her wardrobe, today's show is for you. We're going beyond just the surface of fashion. It's not just about, we're not going to be focusing too much on trends. So what's in style. What we're instead going to be looking at, what's a good fit for you, what feels good for you. And maybe we're even going to add a little extra meaning to the occasion with how you can reuse your clothes. Because the really magical part about what we're going to do right here on the show is we're going to show you how to do all of this without pushing you to go shopping, ladies and gentlemen. You know, ever so often you hear about that very creative person who's gone viral because they've used either their wedding sari or an old brocade dupatta in a creative manner. Something they had lying around the house, they've taken it, they've refreshed it. And while it always sounds cool, we thought here on the show today, we wanted to tell you how you could do that at home. So whether it's reimagining an old sari you have lying around, putting a modern spin on a lehenga, or using your kurta that you wear at every event but using it slightly differently, we're here to help you feel your best on the show today. Joining us live this morning is Shivangi Lahoti, aka Designer Didi. She's the founder of Designershala and she is a designer by education. She's a design educator to a content creator. She deals with audiences every single day. We thought we'd go over to her to ask her about how you can do all of this. So we're focusing on sustainability. We're focusing on reusing what you have lying around. Let's go to Shivangi to understand more. Shivangi, good morning. So lovely to join you on the show just a few days before Diwali comes around. Shivangi, tell us, first up, we hear about Diwali trends. Let's step away from that and let's just ask you, before we get into any of that, what's your advice to our audiences? So give us first, if someone says, Shivangi, I don't know what my personal style is. Personal style hai bhi kya? What does that word even mean? What would you tell someone who doesn't think they're stylish, who doesn't like dressing, but someone who you would want to encourage, ki take a first step? What would you tell them?
Thank you so much for having me first, Toya. It's such a pleasure. Now, when it comes to your personal style, my number one advice to anyone just starting out is that rather than looking outward and chasing trends, which is never ending, by the way, look inward and figure out what are things you are naturally drawn towards. And maybe we can start from there. Look through your closet and do a closet audit. Figure out why do you love certain pieces more than the others. You will slowly start seeing a pattern emerge, and maybe it's the fit, maybe it's how it sits on your body, maybe it's the color of the outfit, or maybe the comfort it provides you. And when you identify these small details, it helps you sort of uncover elements that can make you feel confident and are naturally, to you. After you've done this exercise, a good idea is to actually analyze what's your body type like. For example, are you pear-shaped or do you have an hourglass figure? Are you petite or tall? Say you're petite. So I would suggest go for straight cut tailored kurtas that will add length to your frame. Wear high-waisted bottoms if you're wearing crop tops and show more of your neck with U-necks and V-necks. Avoid overly bulky layers that might overwhelm your proportions. Heels or pointed shoes can also give you a longer, leaner look. Right? Another thing that I see a lot of people do is become absolute slaves to trends and brands and shop mindlessly and endlessly. My advice for the festive season is experiment slowly rather than jumping on every single trend because it's going to hurt your pocket. And with gold prices inflating, I'd rather say stick to what you have. And very honestly, the chances are you may already have something in your wardrobe which can be reused or repurposed.
Shivangi, just tell us, before you go ahead, you used a phrase right now. You said apple-shaped or pear-shaped when you were describing body types. And a lot of Indian women are pear-shaped. But what does that actually mean? Just tell our audiences so that they know,
Of course. So, for example, I am pear-shaped. When you look at the shape of a pear, you see that the upper part of it is tiny and the lower part is broader. Essentially, that's what a pear-shaped proportion is. Your bust, you're not as busty, so your bust is smaller. However, your hips and your thighs and your lower part of the body is bigger. You have to wear clothes that actually accentuate and balance your proportions, make you look balanced on your upper body as well as flaunt those curves, girls.
I love that. Okay, so tell us now a little bit about, let's get straight into it. Mixing and matching outfits, it can often be so scary because, in your head, you don't think that, okay, this color, say I have a light blue blouse and light blue lehenga. How could I rematch that? What colors could I rematch that with? What other old clothes? And what colors should I be looking for in my wardrobe that could go well with that blue? Just tell our audiences, what are your basics, your guides for when one is trying to reuse all the old things in their wardrobe, match old patterns, match old outfits?
All right, so I'll tell you what, ladies, everything that you need is already in your closet, and I can't stress enough about it. And if it's not in your closet, it's probably lying in your sister's closet or your mom's closet, right? Now, most Indian bridal outfits are gold, right? So that's one color we know for a fact is going to be in our wardrobe. For at least one of the events, you must have worn gold in, your wedding. Reuse them. Right? Use your shadi's lehenga dupatta with maybe a monochrome silk kurta, and monochrome here is the key word. When you go with something subdued and monochromatic, it just helps you jazz up.
Monochrome means one color, right, Shivangi?
So shades of one color. So hues of one color, shades of one color. So think of it as an ivory kurta and an ivory trousers to go with it. Or maybe an emerald green kurta with an emerald green, set of palazzo pants. It could also be like a fuchsia pink lehenga with a fuchsia pink blouse. The idea is when you keep your base sort of very subtle, you can play with your accessories, you can play with your shadi lehenga dupatta, you could pick up a Banarasi from your mom's wardrobe and jazz it up. And that is basically the foundation that you can use to build any outfit. And if you wear a solid kurta with silver junk jewelry, you get a completely different effect as compared to if you're wearing it with gold. I am always reusing and restyling my existing pieces.
So tell our audiences right there, you just said, that you're always restyling. And I feel like people like you. So what I mean is people who've made this their profession, they have all sorts of hacks. Something that I learned over the years while anchoring was to use plastic. So what I mean when I say that is reuse plastic. For example, something I've seen people use is fake gajras. On Amazon, you can get them for, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. And you can re-wear that gajra. It looks like a real gajra. It makes your outfit stand out. And you can reuse that one thing through events for years. Do you have little hacks like that you use?
Of course I do. I have like a bag full of them. But I'll tell you what, while accessories can really amp up your looks, I feel like draping your clothes is so underrated. And if you creatively drape your clothes, you don't even have to spend that 200, 300 rupees to go buy gajras from Amazon. You can literally just breathe fresh life into your existing outfits. One of the things that I personally love doing is draping my saris differently each time that I'm wearing them and teaming them up with not regular blouses, but with sort of t-shirts and crop tops and shirts and styling it differently. If you want one for draping, I have a big hack for you. Just get a pre-draped sari. Most brands today are very, very welcoming and open to sort of customizing your sari in a pre-draped form. And if they're not doing it, or if you have an old sari lying around, make your local tailor your best friend, go to him and get it done from them. Trust me, this hack is for the books. You should be taking notes.
Tell us one more thing, Shivangi. Right now, we've talked a lot, maybe deliberately, maybe not so deliberately, about women. And I want to ask you, there are a lot of men watching us right now. And some of those men, in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. I know a lot of the men around me, they often feel like, let's pull out that one kurta, it's working for us. But then they have a hidden desire to do something a little more stylish. And I just want to ask you there, it can be daunting if you haven't been someone who looks at fashion magazines, who follows common style. It's hard to know कि trend में क्या है. So what is your suggestion for the men who are watching, the older men in particular? How can they add a little twist, just a little flair to what they do?
Okay, so if you're just getting started on your styling journey, I would suggest take it slow. But I have a 4-step framework that I'd really like for you to focus on. It's called SCAT. So it's silhouette, color, textures, and accessories. All right. Now, when we talk about silhouettes, I would like for you to sort of go out there, introduce traditional silhouettes like achkans, bandkalas, and pathanis in your vocabulary. If you're short, maybe a monochromatic short kurta with trousers and a hand-woven beautiful bandkala with subtle embroidery would look timeless and effortless. If you're somebody who's tall, I would suggest maybe go for a chikankari pathani salwar in darker hues like a midnight blue, like browns or ink black, and that may still look understated but luxurious. When it comes to colors, I think brighter colors need to be really out of your vocabulary, especially if you're a man in your 40s and 50s. I'm not saying like get them completely out, but the neons and the greens need to go. Right? I would recommend more subdued, mature tones of the same jewel tones. Go ahead and wear that blue, but maybe in a navy. Maybe something that looks a little more real, a little more royal, and also a little more regal, right? And when it comes to accessories, I see lots of men want to wear accessories, but they put like really little effort into styling their looks. And I feel like accessories can really make or break your look. So mojiris and loafers instead of sneakers is an obvious choice, right? And honestly, the bare minimum that you can do, so go ahead and do that. Wear a classic gold or a silver timeless watch, right? Accentuate your look with gemstones as, kurta buttons. These are small little details that you can add to your outfit to jazz it up, but not too much, and be age appropriate as well. When it comes to textures, I feel fabrics help create so much texture in your looks. Whether it's pin tucks, whether it's embroidery, textiles, each of them help create a lot of layers and also visually break a plain surface. So when it comes to textiles, I'll suggest go for silks, jamawars, handloom mikats, chikankaris, velvets. I am a sucker for textiles, and I feel like our Indian traditional handloom textiles are just so gorgeous and so beautiful, and we need more men wearing them. So go and use the SCAT framework and let me know if it works for you.
Something really fun that we do sometimes is we cut our old kurtas, our old chunnis, take the material it's made of and turn it into a handkerchief for men, because that pop of color in even a black suit or a grey suit really looks lovely. Tell us something. You know, around Diwali season, wedding season, especially in cities like Delhi, the look that you see people wear it looks expensive. You know, it looks like you'll have women, men stepping out in clothes that have cost them lakhs. And I'm not saying that's the truth of it. I'm saying everyone manages to look expensive. I just want to ask you, if you don't have the budget to shell out for a whole new outfit for an event, what are Shivangi's cheaper ways of going about it? What are your cheat sheets of sort? Are there fabrics, are there styles one can use to look like you're expensive, but you haven't actually spent that money?
All right. I think that's such a great question. And that's like $1 million question, right? How do you look expensive without spending a bomb? But to be honest, I feel there are multiple ways to do it. One of the easiest ways for you, especially if you are living in a tier 1 city, is you can rent it. There are so many Indian wear rental spaces today popping up. Are renting out their garments, and it's such a sustainable approach to being fashionable, but at the same time sort of not spending a bomb, right? But I do understand that this concept is still prevalent only in tier 1 cities. So tier 2 cities can take my second advice, and that is recreate outfits from scratch. I know, but banayega kaun? And your local tailor here is your best friend. And I agree, while it's difficult explaining things to them initially, if you're patient enough, you'll end up not just with a great outfit, but also a skilled team member to put your vision to reality every time you want to look like $1 million. And also, I have some spaces in Mumbai. If you're local from Bombay, I can help you with a few places where you could find really some great cheap deals in terms of fabrics. I personally love Dadar Hindmata market, the Mangaldas market, which are like absolutely the OG kapda market in Mumbai. If you're looking at jewelry and you want to amp up your jewelry, because of course, itna asli jewelry kaun kharidega, right? So Bhuleshwar, Zaveri Bazaar, Goregaon are literally the hub for imitation jewelry. A lot of these stores actually have such good Jadao and Kundan and temple jewelry that it almost feels like it's real gold at first glance. And if you personally ask me, I love Amrapali. As a brand, I have been advocating them for I think, over a decade now. And I personally feel it's so great because they have a lifetime warranty. If anything damages, they give it back to me, they fix it up, they polish it. And it's such a great investment when you look at it in the long term, right? So these are some of my hacks that I personally use as a designer. And yeah, what are you if not a Jugaadu designer?
Wait, so I want to ask you, a little earlier, you talked about the fact that there are now lots of places in cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, where you can go and you can actually rent out an outfit. And I just want to ask you, like that, there are new platforms opening everywhere. Even for Instagram shopping these days, there are so many new, like constantly, for example, if I were to open my Instagram right now, because it's Diwali season, you'll see brand after brand after brand. And I want to ask you this. Sometimes you place an order, but what you get is very different from what you thought you were going in for. What are your tips for making sure that the thing you're buying, because sometimes, you know, you've put so much money, say you've spent 5,000 rupees on a new blouse, and the blouse actually comes, even if that place says you can return it, sometimes that process is so tiring that one doesn't end up actually returning it. So what is your set of tips? That's what I want to know for finding a place, knowing it's trustable before you actually order online.
All right. To be very honest, I'm a pro online shopper and I have like step-by-step process.
Right.
So if I don't know the brand and I've never heard of them, I look for actual customer photographs and feedbacks. Everyone today can get paid influencers to be advertisement billboards for them. It's very easy to get swayed and lose your authenticity in today's world of social media. And I don't blame them, it's their business. But I personally feel that unless I see actual people wear it, I don't trust the brand.
Right.
I want to see the comment section. What does it look like? Do they have a highlight section for their customer feedback on Instagram? Does their tagged section have actual customer photos? Are the customers happy and tagging the brand and posting about it? I am usually also checking if the brand is offline or has done any pop-ups in my city, so that maybe for the first time, especially if it's anything above 5,000, I can actually go and check the product quality in person and then invest in them for like a bigger price point. I'm very detailed when it comes to online shopping, so I almost never have a return because of how much I read the description of the fabrics, the composition, the amount of questions I ask on WhatsApp. Before I make the payment, I make it a point to know what my size is, if their body size and body measurements would actually match mine. Of course, because we end up buying something thinking it's a 34 chest, but in reality, it's actually a 36 with the margins, which sometimes newer brands very easily forget to mention. So it becomes looser for you, right? And if the customer support is slow or they're not able to answer all my questions, it's a big red flag for me because अगर पहले ही नहीं respond कर रहे तो बाद में तो क्या ही करेंगे?
Okay, I love that, but I also love what you said earlier, that you have to check your sizes because different brands have different sizes. You tend not to realize that. I just want to ask you, Shivangi, before we let you go, because you've given us so many helpful tips right now, but before you let us go, tell us this. What are your plans for Diwali? Are you reusing anything in your wardrobe?
I actually am, Toya. My husband's wedding safa was pure tissue.
Oh, I believe we are sharing that with our audiences. Photos. Okay, okay.
Yes. So I'll actually be wearing my husband's wedding safa as a sari for Diwali this time. And I think it's such a great way. We've been married only for 2 years. So I feel like it's such a great way. And it's going to be a surprise for him. He'll see this here and realize that this is happening.
Oh, no. We're so sorry to your husband for ruining that surprise. But yeah.
That's okay. I think he'll be happy. He's on national television. It's all right. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be re-wearing his safa that I've opened up and I've converted it into a sari. And I'm going to team it up with one of my mom's lehenga's blouse, actually. So I've gotten her to courier the lehenga blouse that she wore for my wedding. And yeah, I'm Jugaadu.
This is really, really cool though. So you've opened it up, I would assume, because it would have been crumpled because of the way in which the safa has been tied. And then you've done what you've done. That's so cool. Shivangi, you know, it's one thing to talk about all of this, but then to see someone actually do it in this cool manner. And I love that we're showing those photos so our audiences can really see how that safa has been reused. Shivangi, thank you for joining us this morning. That's designer Didi. She's joined us. And you can even on her page see, but even see other young designers like this who are spotlighting and reusing sustainable clothing in this manner. Okay.